Last time on Let's Play Mega Man X3.
Capcom, are you trying to confuse people?
I missed a sub-tank like a dumb.
It's fake news, I say. In other fake news, you pay me.
I glitched the text box.
Yeah, HD.
Now let's play some 8-bits. Is my tendency to break everything I touch something I picked up from Proton John?
It's over, Bob! I have the high ground!
And now the continuation. The last time we had to fight a crazy scientist that was trying to take over the world or whatever. He kept coming back game after game after game. So, does that mean Dr. Doppler is going to be that for this series? Actually, no, it's not. It's definitely not going to be the case. He's not a recurring villain. That's for sure. But, yeah, this is the Mississippi King welcoming y'all back to more Let's Play Mega Man X3. And in the last episode, we beat Volt Catfish and got a number of upgrades, including the golden armor and some bonus footage, and also fought Bob, which is what I call the God Machino Inari. Also, on a side note, an alternate name is the God Machino Inari, which Inari is spelled as I-N-A-R-I-E. For some reason, I don't know why it's different, why they're inconsistent with that, but regardless, also on a side note, another interesting thing about Volt Catfish is that his Japanese name is actually Electrode Namazuros, which may just be my imagination, but that doesn't even really sound Japanese. I don't know what it is. It actually sounds somewhat Greek, but again, maybe that's just my imagination. In this episode, we're going to fight the boss rush, and also get through most of the remaining Doppler stages as well. We're also going to go over this stage a second time in this video because the stage differences are significant enough to warrant a second playthrough. We're also going to show off how to get the Z-Saber, which is kind of interesting because the mini-boss, which only shows up if you beat Vile with his weakness, you can actually enter the mini-boss room as Zero. The game does not tell you this, and really, you have no reason to think that that would be the case because this is a first? Why would you do that? Of course, this game has some pretty nasty cryptic tendencies. It can be very annoying about that. Like, seriously, who would think to do that? That's kind of ridiculous that they expect you to do that. Anyway, here we are. And this time, let's actually switch to Zero, so that I can fight the mini-boss as Zero. And, Zero can actually take down the mini-boss fairly easily, however, he's also defeated fairly easily. Because, the Z-Saber is really powerful, and as you can see, the mini-boss just kamikazes and, crashes into him and blows up, which, I guess causes his power generator to be damaged. And that means he's out for the rest of the game, folks. So after you get the Beam Saber, you can't play as Zero anymore, so that's the one thing that kinda sucks about it. What was that explosion? Zero, are you okay?
Sorry, X, I failed. It seems my power generator is damaged.
That's what I just said.
I'll try and make it back to Dr. Kane's lab for repairs. You can't tell what is waiting for you, X. You better take my Beam Saber with you. Crush them all, X. You're our last hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. I just felt that that was an appropriate reference for this time, so anyway, here's the Beam Saber in action, it's really, really powerful. It kills most bosses in the game in 2 hits. It says this game's a super move, like the previous game had the Shoryuken, the original had the Hadouken, and this game has the Z-Saber, which isn't a Street Fighter move unlike the previous ones. However, it is still really powerful, and it kills most bosses in the game, I think all bosses in the game, in 1 hit, in 2 hits actually. Here it is in action against Volt Kurageil. And it's Volt Kurageil because you can't fight the other boss if you have the Z-Saber. So yeah, it works really well against bosses. Something unique about the Z-Saber is that you actually needn't to be at full health in order to use it. You can just, use it at any point, unlike previous super moves. Also, I died right there. That was a bit embarrassing. So it's best to, whip out your strong weapons against these guys. I think the spinning blade works well against these guys. They're some of the toughest enemies in X3, so, watch out for them. That is one of the dangers of, defeating File with his weakness. It causes these enemies to be all over the place here. And these guys do not insignificant damage. However, I find them fairly easy to avoid, so it's not really a big deal. Anyway, I do enjoy the music too. At Doppler Stages A and B. They're very enjoyable, very energetic, and fast-paced, and I like the way that they sound. It's still not really my favorite end theme for any game in the series, but still it's up there, at least. Currently we're stuck here on this very, very sluggish climb. This part is kind of a low point of the stage. I'm not going to defend it. It's just kind of agonizing to get through this. You just sit around and shoot at enemies, and you don't put in much effort, and it's just boring and unexciting. Move faster, Pokey! Faster! Okay, yeah, enough of that. The boss we're fighting is, of course, Volt Kurageil, as I've stated before. And Volt Kurageil is actually a fairly easy boss. Apparently it's based on, a jellyfish, which is interesting. And for some reason it's weak to electricity, even though, jellyfishes can use electricity. I believe they can actually use electricity to shock their prey or defend themselves. So why is it weak to electricity? That seems kind of strange. Their bodies are actually, I think, mostly water. That may explain why the boss is weak to electricity, the Triad Thunder to be specific. And look at that! It shaves off its health so quickly that we're already done with this stage. So, that wasn't too long. However, of course, as I've said, that's not all to it. We've still got to tackle the alternate stage. So here we are in the alternate stage, and as you can see, the enemies are different, but also the stage itself looks noticeably different. The windows are broken, and basically the whole place just looks like it's been torn apart. Presumably, I think it's meant to imply that Vile was here and he tore the place up. It's kind of an interesting detail, but also something else that's different. This place has no underwater section, as you can see soon. With the Hawk armor, you can actually get through it
and the water is strained, presumably because the windows are broken and, like, the water just exited the building. Also, another difference is that it has no mini-boss. I don't know why. I mean, I guess it's meant to be like another sign of Boba Fett's destruction. Something else different is that the stage is instead full of hammer enemies, which are apparently what the spiked ball guys are called. That's kind of a strange name, but like it sounds racist, but no, that's actually what they're called. That's their actual name. I found that out, and I still don't know what the jailbird Joes are called. Unfortunately. But I don't really know which. Actually, I do kind of prefer this stage variant over the other. I was going to say that I had a hard time deciding which one's better, but like, no, I do prefer the lack of an underwater section, although it is fun dodging the enemies in the other stage variant, but this stage variant still suffers from the awful and sluggish climb.
In fact, this climb is so boring I may just speed this up, because there's no point to watching this a second time. It's just so painful to sit through, and there's nothing to talk about. It's just kind of annoying. Be careful that you don't touch the spikes, however. I find it very easy to avoid touching the spikes. I don't know why. I guess maybe I'm just good. Or maybe it has nothing to do with skill and I'm just the Armand White of video game difficulty. That is definitely a possibility. But it's still going on, and we're still having to sit through this. This is getting kind of okay.
Here we are, finally. And this time, something interesting about the boss room. It's actually in the one after this, and the water is drained from that place. So that's kind of interesting. It's all gone.
My waiting has finally come to an end. Prepare to die at the hands of the world's most advanced riding armor, the new Goliath!
So, yeah, the room beforehand was actually completely drained of water, and we don't fight Volt Kurageil, but Boba Fett! In his new riding armor. This is actually more advanced than the one we fought before. It's the Goliath ride armor instead of, I believe, the kangaroo armor. And it's a lot more powerful. However, I actually find it easier to dodge. So as you can see, I'm just dodging him very easily. And that's all to the fight, folks. It's not much to write home about. It's just kinda there. But actually, I do enjoy the fight that occurs after you destroy the Goliath's ride armor. It's actually a pretty good fight against Boba Fett himself. So, yep, that's all we've got for the fight. Actually, no, not really, because there's a second phase, obviously. And he's of course weak to the same things he was weak to before, the spinning blade and the Ray Splasher. I prefer the Ray Splasher because although it's a little erratic, it is quite good at like rapid firing, and it tends to like be able to hit him from a greater distance, so the spinning blade works well too, though, don't get me wrong. It takes forever to beat him, though. That is one drawback to the fight. I'm not much of a fan of, like, how long the first form lasts, mostly because I've had to record this crap. It's kind of irritating. It's actually not much of a fight at all. As for the music that I'm going to play at the boss rush, I've actually chosen a song from Shadow of the Colossus, A Violent Encounter, because the fight with the final boss is going to be a violent encounter. In the next episode, we're not actually going to fight him in this episode, but as still, it is going to be a fairly tough encounter, so watch out for that.
Don't think that this is the end, X. I will haunt you to the day you die.
One of the things I've noticed about the boss rushes in the X series is that they tend to be quite lengthy. It's all because the explosions often take forever. And it's like, I wouldn't really care about that, except for the fact that, like, I've had to record this. You don't think of them as, like, particularly lengthy until you actually have to sit down and record the whole thing. In X5, for reasons that will be explained in that game, it's especially bad. So, yep, here we are in the second to last stage, Doppler Stage C. So, hit it! And we're done with that. So as you can see, the health is dispensed in a fairly unusual way. It's actually dispensed from that machine, and it can actually dispense weapon energy, which makes it distinct from a lot of the other games in the series. And something else that's different from a lot of other games in the series is Dr. Doppler himself, the fight with Dr. Doppler. He's actually the only boss, I think the only boss in the series that actually can heal himself. He's not actually that hard because of it, though. I find him to be fairly easy despite all of that. Just be sure to attack him when he's not got his force field up, because otherwise that will heal him.
I've been waiting for you, X. I'm Dr. Doppler. I've been watching your battles closely. Your victories over my men have been most impressive. I need superior Reploids like yourself, X. I offer you the chance to join us. Together we shall build a utopia where the Reploids rule under the watchful eyes of Sigma, our lord and master.
No way, Doc. Your schemes end here and now.
Perhaps you are not as smart as I once thought. Prepare to be ripped apart and to be born again as part of the new body of Sigma.
Wait, what? Sigma was behind it all this time? Who would have thought? I think if you attack him while he's standing still and shooting the electricity shots, he generates that force field, so, you don't really want to attack him when he's standing still. Yeah, you'll want to attack him when he's charging at you, because then he won't generate the field at all. Other times, however, just keep your distance from him. It gives you more time to react to his shots, and they're actually very easy to dodge if you keep your distance from him. And yeah, just keep up this pattern, and he goes down pretty easily, but again, you'll want to watch out that you don't get too overzealous in trying to attack him, because that can end up healing him. Just be sure to take your time with this fight, don't rush it, take it nice and slow, and he goes down very easily. It's a very simple pattern, you just got to get used to his pattern. And he's actually pretty easy. He's, I think, one of the easiest bosses in the game, in fact. I find this game to have some pretty easy bosses. So, yep, it was Sigma behind all of this. Is anyone surprised at this point? I don't know. It's kinda stupid that they keep pulling that out, that they keep using that plot device, but here we are.
You are strong, X. Strong enough to defeat Sigma.
Doppler, can you talk?
Sigma's true form is that of a computer virus. I was corrupted by him, and I created a horrific new body for him.
Where's the body now?
It's in the underground hangar of this lab. I don't think Sigma has occupied it yet. Don't worry about me. Destroy the body before it is too late. Time is running out.
Thanks, Doc. So you know the virus form of Sigma in Mega Man X2? That's actually what it's called. I refrained from saying that because of spoilers, but anyway, that will have to be it for this episode. This is the Mississippi King signing out, and in the next episode, we'll finish the game. See y'all then.